How do you create a podcast from a sermon posted to YouTube or Facebook? Oh, this is good. A couple of ways. Facebook, I don't think is really into the podcasting game yet. Wouldn't surprise me if they got there. YouTube, however, recently-ish allows you to set a playlist to be a podcast. It's still a video, all the same stuff, but it does a couple of things. It means that audio will show up in YouTube Music, so it can be featured as a podcast in YouTube Music. It gives you a little, more robust view of the stats and analytics for that particular playlist, because now it's a podcast, and all you're doing is uploading your sermon. So I'd say sermon video. If you stream all of worship, you want to have someone edit it to be just the sermon and upload the sermon as a standalone video on YouTube. Have a playlist called sermons, whatever, be creative, I don't know, and then turn it on as a podcast. Now, that doesn't put it in all the podcast places. It's not going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all those things through that avenue, but it's an easy way to have it be available through a way that YouTube is podcasting. So that's step one. To get it in all those other podcast places, you need to pull out the audio from that video file. This is a little more complicated. A couple ways to do this. You probably using something on your computer. If you have a PC, Audacity is a great free program. It's also on Mac. But if you have a Mac, you also have GarageBand, which is a great free program. And you can drop in the video file of the sermon and just export the audio. So you want an MP3 file. And then you need to upload that audio file to a podcast host, some sort of hosting platform for your podcast, the audio specific side. At Riverside, we use a platform called Spreaker. It has a little bit of cost to it, not too much, but it has a lot of good features. Lets us set up multiple podcasts within a single kind of overarching network that we kind of create of our own. If you want completely free, Anchor.fm is owned by Spotify, and they're a good route where you could upload your audio. Super easy. I've always thought that Anchor is the easiest way to podcast, and that's probably still true. And that's completely free. Let you set up a podcast feed easy through any of these hosting routes to get it connected to all the major podcast aggregators, the places where people listen to podcasts. So the one feed then goes into, it's picked up by Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, Stitcher, Spreaker, all the things that people use to listen to podcasts. So you can say, listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. But that's the process. YouTube is semi-easy because they're kind of building in podcast as a function to their playlists, but that's not going to put it in every place just yet. I'd love it if they did that. You have to then extract the audio, need an MP3 file, Audacity, GarageBand, easy to do that, and then upload that to either Anchor.fm, Spreaker, or 1,000 other podcast hosts that you might use. The other thing to think about too is just because you've uploaded podcast audio, there isn't really much of a built-in organic discovery process in podcasts. YouTube's a little better at this because YouTube is a search engine. People are searching for your content based on how you title it and description and all that stuff. The search engine optimization, that's what SEO stands for. So you might get some organic traffic there. Organic meaning people just stumble upon it because of the platform. But when you upload it in kind of these audio specific spaces, you then really need to do a lot to direct people to it. So you need to use the platforms, the channels you already have, the social media you're already on, your church email, newsletter, let your congregation know you can subscribe to our podcast, blah, blah, blah. You can get some organic reach if you get enough momentum. Like if a bunch of people on Apple Podcasts listen and give you reviews and say they love it, Apple might say, hey, this is an up and coming star podcast. Then they'll promote it a bit more internally. The same on all the platforms like that. But that can be tricky. It's possible, but it doesn't just happen. So you got to plan on doing some work to let people know it exists. Making the thing is half the process, and then you got to let people know that it's available. But that's a bit of a, hopefully covers all the questions in that question from Christina.